My people, what up, dude? We back with another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. My name is Chief.
And I'm Bell.
I'm Prentice.
And we about to rock and roll. So before we jump into the topic of today's episode, which we're just going to reflect on 2020 and all the bullshit we went through then, we're going to talk about some feedback we've been getting and
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We got to start with Happy New Year. Man.
We probably should have started with that. Happy New Year. And we appreciate all y'all for still tuning in and whatnot. So a recent piece of feedback we got was we tend to derail from the topic at hand and neglect to share the therapeutic components of our conversation. And for me, I think just having a conversation is therapeutic for me. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, we told you in the very, very beginning, we are not therapists.
Yeah, we're not we're not therapists at all, guys. We are who we are, right? Like, I think we are, in fact, the three of us, I can speak for unapologetically ourselves, right? So we're not going to come up here and start pontificating like we're a therapist because we're not, right? I mean, y'all know I'm Chief's therapist, but outside of that, actually, he just fired me, y'all. He got a real one now. He got a real therapist.
Damn sure got a real one.
So actually, you know what? Sidebar, that's a perfect example, right? Our conversations led to him realizing he needs some more clarity on things. So he needs to go see a professional. That's it. Right. Like, that is the goal of our show, to with ourselves, begin to identify, if anything, that we need to address was a professional. And then B, secondary is if anything that we say and our level of vulnerability that we display can help you go seek some of those answers as well.
P, have you gone to therapy?
I've been to therapy 2 or 3 times over the past probably 8 years. It was all marriage based, and I think I should have went for myself rather than going for the marriage. But yeah,
did you go or did you send a representative of yourself to go?
Oh man, I think it was I don't know. That's a good question. You know what I mean? Because I jump out of it and realize that a lot of who I was a representative. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I necessarily allowed myself to be present in the therapy room. You know what I mean? But it didn't do that. It didn't help.
Right. That's something else too, guys. That's like an extra layer. And that if you ever want to watch, if you want to hear who said that, it's Chris Rock who said that. Like he's been going to therapy for a long time, but self-admittedly, he said in the beginning he was just sending a representative. Like basically, he was showing up in the physical, but who he was portraying to the therapist was not himself. So he said until he could be authentic with the therapist, it wasn't until then where he was able to start to be able to make some real change. So that's just something to think about.
I actually got an email today sending me a clip of that interview, and they were like, "You should have him on the show." I'm like, "Yeah, well, holler at him. Tell him to come holler at us."
Oh, Chris Rock.
yeah, like you should have Chris Rock on the show. Word. So P, is that something?
That's a good segue to us doing this though. You know, like I think for me, our conversations, the three of us that we're having, for me, these conversations are leading me to the idea of a different type of therapy than I've had before. So I think for a lot of us, I know I can't be the only one out there, sometimes having conversations with your homies is that therapy you need to get to that next professional level, but you got to be able to not send a representative. So you got to have somebody who you can talk to where you don't feel like you got to put in any type of cape or mask, you know what I mean, to be honest with.
And also you have to be able to identify that there's things you need therapy for, right? Mm-hmm. Or at minimum further discussion. So
it took me 14 legit intense conversations to realize like, yo, all this stuff we've been talking about, you might want to get some of this shit off your chest professionally. And conversation Bell and I had today, my therapist is a family friend. So he texts me like, it's good to see you stepping out of your comfort zone. I'm like, you know what? As much as it is out of my comfort zone, it was comfort outside of my comfort zone because there was some familiarity behind who the person was, who the therapist was. You know what I'm saying? So even if people aren't it was somebody I trusted, so it made it a lot easier for me rather than walking into a room and having to build distrust with this person. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't,
and naturally having a wall up.
Right, it kind of prevented me from showing up as the representative because I already had this foundation of trust, which made it easier to walk into the door and be like, I got some shit I need to unleash.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Fix me.
Fix me. I'm here.
You got lucky, man. I think people also got to realize, this is something I was thinking about over the last week. Therapy looks different for everybody. I think I've said this before, but don't get masked up and thinking you got to be talking to somebody who has their shit together in order for it to be a therapeutic conversation. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be somebody who has a 9-to-5 and it's doing all the right things. You can gain a lot of insight from a lot of different people. And most importantly, you just got to be comfortable in front of them. You know, you got to be able to talk to them. So, you know, I've heard a lot of people give feedback and say, yeah, but you know, my friends, they don't think like y'all think, or they're not talking like y'all are talking. That's okay. You know, find the conversation within that dynamic that's going to help you. You know what I mean? All conversations aren't going to be the same.
Or go seek out a professional.
Yeah, too.
Right? It's like we are fortunate because we know each other so well that another thing too, guys, and we got to get a therapist on here too. Like we have to have a therapist as a guest. I don't even know why it's taking us so long, but nonetheless, there's a lot of facets to therapy, right? So it's going to see an actual therapist, obviously, right? But there's therapy in general conversation. So that person that was saying his friends don't talk like us, he or she, I'm not sure what the person's gender was, but he may not even realize that even saying that stuff out loud is a form of therapy.
Right.
Because now when you say it out loud, it becomes real.
That's the essence of admitting the problem, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, my friends aren't talking about this and I want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it, yo, how y'all feel about like maybe be like sending out during the week, seeing who's interested in popping on via the Zoom link, give like random people 10 minutes or so, but listen, what's on your spirit? Let's all talk about it. Talk about it with the homies. We're not therapists, but let's have a conversation with the homies.
That's not a bad idea.
You know what I'm saying? See who
not a bad idea
who would chime in. Like, listen, you got a 710 to 720 slot. Come in and talk to us.
That is not a bad idea.
See who's
That's why we keep you around, man.
We can figure that out.
Keep up the good work.
The ideas change.
All right. So moving on to the topic at hand, reflections, man. It's a new year. I mean, we're not gonna go with the new year, new me type thing, but we are gonna say you should definitely have some goals you're looking to achieve, and we'll bounce back to 2020 and talk about some of our experience and how it impacted us, man. I know we didn't want to go to the negative. We want to talk about what we're grateful for and all that good stuff, but when we discuss this discussion, Kobe was the first thing that came to my mind. You know what I'm saying? It was the very first thing about 2020 that came to my mind. Is like, I never chilled with Kobe. I didn't hang out with Kobe. I wasn't even a Laker fan. You know what I'm saying? But like when I found out that news, like it really it hit home for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because of the baby girl, more than likely. And my daughter's like she was like really attached to that. She don't even really, you know what I mean? She just plays a little ball, but like she was really, really like taken back by it. Like text me like, Daddy, did you hear Kobe Bryant died? I'm just like why? You know what I'm saying?
So maybe what we can do, I think this is great. How about we talk about the one or the biggest adverse impact of 2021 or 2020, excuse me. So Kobe was yours.
I think Kobe was, Kobe and the Black Panther, they both kind of like hit me, like, cause you just, you know, you're not connected to these people, but it was like people who meant something to the culture.
Yeah. 100%.
Was super impactful for me. And again, I think personally to see my kids affected by it. My son, huge Black Panther fan, you know what I'm saying? So like, I wrote a little piece, like I had to tell my son T'Challa died. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you explain to your shorty his favorite superhero's gone? You know what I'm saying? So it was impact. Losing those people who had nothing. Again, in 2020, we lost a lot of people. And I didn't realize the impact these people would have on my life until they passed. I'm talking about people who were relatively around, like in the nearby circle, and then people who I had no contact with, but I was still impacted by it.
Goes back to giving people their flowers while they're here.
Precisely. Yeah, for real. I love y'all, dude. Yo, got flowers right now.
Love you too.
If anything, I say 2020 definitely taught us about roses and flowers, and if y'all don't know, these gentlemen just hugged and shit. But
Ain't nothing wrong with that, P. If you was here, we give you a hug too, man.
I'm out here alone on the couch, man.
14 days after your quarantine.
Yeah. You got to come to
What?
Connecticut, hang out 14 days, and then you can rock with us.
We'll give you a hug 14 days after your quarantine.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But 2020, man, definitely you got to get flowers while you're here. Like one thing 2020 definitely had me start doing, man. I listen to all my favorite artists now while they're alive. I'm not about to listen to no more music after I hear you dead. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not doing that. We just pick up the phone today. I saw Dre had an aneurysm. Dr. Dre.
Really?
And I'm just like, yeah.
Oh,
he had an aneurysm, man. They say he's in the ICU. I don't know if he's stable or not, but I'm like, nah, man, I'm not listening to any more of my favorite artists after they die and wish I would have just listened to an album once while they were still here, you know? So 2020 taught me really appreciate those artists that I respect. That'll
be a real messed up way to start 2021, yo.
More of the same. That's crazy.
Prayers up for Dre, yo, for real.
That's crazy. So in that same vein, Prentice, I was on a call today and someone said, and I may have heard this before, but maybe it resonated for the first time. So in my company, we always talk about like the legacy that you leave, like, basically all that means is who you've brought up in the company with you, so on and so forth. And then I don't remember who said it today on the call, but they said, as important as leaving a legacy is living your legacy.
Yeah.
Right? Like it goes back to being present. You know what I'm saying? Like we shouldn't have to praise this person when they're gone. It's like, no, like this person is a living legacy. Like Dre has a living legacy, right? Like that's a prime example. And not that I don't think he's respected, because I think he definitely is. And as consumers, I don't know how we show these people that are these bigger than life people like Dr. Dre, how much we appreciate them. But I think we have people in our immediate circle that has a living legacy, right? Of impacts that they made either on a community or you personally. And it's like, how are we honoring that person? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing for ourselves, right? Like we all have kids, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's literally our legacy, right? That then they're still here and we're still here. So like, how are we capitalizing on those moments? How are we capitalizing and building that legacy further, So that's one thing that I thought of as you said that. But I think for me, man, the biggest, I'll call it negative impact from 2020 that I took and the lessons I got from it was George Floyd. Well, the George Floyd movement, right? And all the untimely deaths that were associated with that, right? So Breonna Taylor's, Ahmaud Arbery, like all those things that were happening throughout that process, man, because what I realized is that was the first time that the world literally, not just the city, Craig, the world,
right?
Got to see a glimpse of kind of what happens, like, or what can happen, right? And what is a reality for a lot of us, right? Specifically people that look like us, right? Males that look like us. And I think because there was nothing else going on in 2020, right? No sports, no new movies, no nothing was happening. Everybody had to sit down and watch it, right?
Yeah,
like,
over and over and over.
Again, exactly. And it was more so like a mirror, right? Like America, this is what you've become. Whether you want to accept it or realize it, I'm going to make you watch it, right? And that's a whole nother level of psyche that it plays on, watching it over and over again. Like that's a whole nother conversation, because it's one thing to get your point across, right? To help people understand the plight. But then as a Black man, you're literally watching a potential scenario of your life. Right. So it's like, you can literally watch a potential death of yours, right? Mm-hmm. Based on what you're seeing in the media. So that was tough for me to watch, man. That was tough for me because I have a son now And that was just tough. Like that was really, really tough. And but I'm grateful for what that revealed to me personally, right? Like what I said about 2020 is it showed you who everybody really is.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And that's what it showed me. Like it showed me who it allowed that movement allowed people to be exposed for better and for worse. A lot of people that you didn't know cared that much, right? They stepped up in a major way. And a lot of people who you thought cared showed that they really don't, you know, which allows you now to know how to move, you know, and I'm grateful for that, man. Like people are going to be who they are. I had a conversation just today. I was like, look, at 30 something years old, you are who you are, right? I'm not going to change you, right? You could change, but the likelihood is slim that the core of your being is going to change, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to move accordingly. Like that's it. So that was the biggest negative impact, was the reoccurring episodes that we had to continue to watch.
I would absolutely agree, 110% for me. Watching this being murdered at, you know, such a rapid rate again and again, and this time, I felt like usually what happens is we get killed like this, and this happens over the summer because my son at 12, my oldest, he's conditioned, because he lives in Florida, he's conditioned, he's always in the summer with me, so he's used to Black men being murdered by the cops for some reason when he's in California with his dad. It seems like summertime is a hot season for us to be killed. And so because he was with me since March of 2020, you know, all the way through consistently, it was interesting having to go through the process of dealing with it with my 12-year-old son, who I usually don't have a whole year at once. You know what I'm saying? So having to compartmentalize that myself and then still be a father and not let him see some of the pain, some of the anguish, some of the hurt, however he hears it through my work that I'm creating, then having the conversations with him. That was really, really challenging, man, because then also it wasn't just our opinions that I saw myself hearing and reading. It was opinions of other people from other cultures. And I'm used to them being silent. You know what I mean? They're really quiet typically, man. It's usually us going back and forth. And then it opened this door to where I found myself having dialogue and engaging with people and still trying to have a control of my emotions. So it was really a balance of emotional like integrity for me, like learning how to pocket certain emotions and when it was okay for them to show and when it wasn't. And you know, it was a lot, man. So I definitely would say, well, for real, like I definitely think the murder of Black men definitely was the hardest, biggest impact for me. It just was so in your face, you couldn't run from it. You couldn't.
I also imagine, P, that experience with your son for that extended period of time had to be one of the things you were very much so appreciative of in 2020. I know you showed
listen to everybody. My dude just went back 2 days ago. He was with me for 10 months and 2 days. He went back to the airport 2 days ago, man. I'm full of the most joy I've ever had in my whole entire life, man. Real shit. I am full of joy. So I list that impact, or the adverse impact, the heaviest impact of 2020, man. But I'll wait until we get to the good shit. You know what I mean? Because 2020 was nothing but good to me, bro. Like for real, 2020 was amazing.
Yo, I'm calling 2020, man, the year of the hustler. And
let's talk about
it. Here's what I mean, man. Like, I look at it like this. I mean, shit, this podcast was started in 2020. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
We came to y'all in 2020, and I look at it like this, man. Everybody has something that they want to do or ambition and shit like that. More often than not, it's time that you don't have to pursue some of those things. And the universe is like, all right, nigga, here you go. You wanted some time? You got some time.
You want some time? Right. Here it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got some time. So that time allowed those to get out there who really wanted it, and really time was really the issue, to go out there and get to it, man. Like, I keep it a stack. like 2020 is one of my best years, man. Like
Hands down, bro.
this was a phenomenal year for me financially, like just physically, you know, like everything. Like it was a great year for me.
Dropped a new album, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Baby born.
I
Like
had my son in April, you know what I'm saying?
Dropped
Like
that album and
I got promoted in 2020, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a great year, man. I bought a couple houses in 2020. Like things was good, man. I have no and none of my family were immediate family was negatively impacted by COVID. You know, like I can't complain. That's why, and this is a part that I struggle with too. I was talking to one of my peers at work. I don't talk about how good my 2020 was outside of a forum like this, out of respect for 2020.
right.
Yep.
Right? Because people haven't had the same feelings and opportunities as you and I had, Prentice. All right. So it's like, I'm not about to come in, yo, I did this, I did that. 2020, like it's lit. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, yeah, my aunt just died, my dad's sick, and my cat is positive. Right. It's like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I fall back. Like I was on a call today with one of my admin, and she was telling me, she's like, I'm just my first time having a conversation with her. She's like, I heard great things about you. You know, her boss was like, she loves you, and she was kind of upset though that you guys had a conversation and you didn't tell her you were promoted. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just not. I just if it comes up, cool, but I'm not gonna talk about my 2020, man. I just don't think it's my place unless it's asked. Or if I get a win that you had a good 2020, you know what I'm saying? But oh yeah, then I'll share. You know what I'm saying? But 2020 is the year of the hustler. I'm sticking by that.
It definitely humbles you. It definitely humbles you with the success. I'm not even gonna list my shit, but almost every month of 2020 was something super major, personally or career wise for me. And I think piggyback on what you're saying, it also taught me how to celebrate my victories in a real way. You know, like I've had more victories in 2020 than it's hands down probably, if not the best year, the second best year of my life. And it taught me how to handle success, accomplishments, and growth with like massive amount of the right type of humility. You know what I mean? Not in a time where everybody's out there getting it. You out here getting it and achieving success. And instead of being out and popping bottles to celebrate, or instead of being out and just celebrating, you still were confined to your own personal space. So I found myself left to like figuring out how to go get it even more, because that's all I really could do. You know what I mean? And once I accomplished that first measure of success in 2020, especially under COVID, because COVID for a lot of us artists, a lot of us traveling artists, COVID put me down at least 30 racks when it first started. You know what I mean? When I first started getting shit that was canceled, I counted 30 racks. So here we are in March and I'm down 30 racks for the year. I got no clue what I'm doing. So as the success came and the accomplishments, you learn that, I can move in this shit. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And as you start to move in it, what's really started to happen was you started to see the other people who were moving and the people who weren't. You know what I mean? And what I paid a lot of attention to was the people who talked about the impact of COVID in a negative way, and the people who stayed quiet and just went out and got it, however they had to or however they could. And that's the way I chose to identify with 2020. 2020 pulled me through from a space of, there are a lot of sharks out here, and I'm noticing more right now, because there's a lot of people who I thought was dogs, and they still and they quiet. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's people out there hustling and get it. So it definitely taught me about the hustle, man. There's a lot of sharks that popped up in 2020.
I think it did a lot for people individually. I think all of us who carry this humility have a heart for everything that's been going on. So like Bell said, we don't talk about these accomplishments, but I think individually, everybody who's here right now, who's listening to this podcast, has won in a sense. Like, you're here. Yeah. You pushed through one of the toughest times of your life thus far.
In a lifetime.
You know what I'm saying? Like, most people don't, you're not living through a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So you've excelled and you've pushed through this. And the fact that you're here and listening to this and celebrating this moment with us says a lot. But you have your individual wins as well. And that's what's so dope. Like, I got 3 different jobs, be that work that were 24/7, that didn't close down during the pandemic, was able to make some extra money. You know what I'm saying? That makes a difference.
Right.
Still got some checks from colleges that I didn't expect, like a couple gigs canceled. Now let's do these remote and via Zooms or whatever. Are you gonna pay me the same thing as if I was there? What? Sign me up. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a ride, but if you handled it right, you found your victories, man. I mean, and you know, rest in peace to those who are gone, and blessings to those who are struggling. But there's some positive in this, and I think once you've gone through some therapeutic moments and had these conversations, you learn to kind of find those positives and celebrate those rather than harp on those negative moments, man.
Yeah, because you know what people could fall victim to, man, is the whole like the mass thinking, like the mass chaos, like, oh my God, the world is ending, the sky is falling, and everybody's running around, you know, as opposed to just saying, okay, well, how can I take advantage of this? Right? Like, and not advantage of 2020, but advantage of your circumstances, right? Like what can I do to better myself right now? Like my daughter had came to me when all this, because she was another one that was just getting caught up. And I guess just for perspective, my daughter's best friends are her grandmothers, right? So it kind of goes into her it speaks to her train of thought, her spool of thought, because her influences, like I said, my mom and her mother's mom are her like best friends. So anyway, in the beginning, she came to me and she's just like, dad, and just going on and on and on. And I'm like, look, Bree, you know, you can dad me all you want. You can talk about how bad it is, or we can take some actions, you know, and put yourself in a better position when this is all over, you know, and not everybody is afforded that opportunity. So hear me clear, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that. I completely do. But for those who are, there was no reason for you not to go out there and get it, right? There was a way, right? And not that I'm condoning this in any single way, but there's a lot of people taking advantage of 2020 with these loans and shit, right? I am not condoning that, but what my point is, if there was a will, there's a way. A lot of people found a way, those who were able to find a way. And I know, I get it, there's a lot of people that weren't, and we our heart goes out to those folks, but for those who are willing and able, there was definitely some opportunity there.
Right. I mean, talking about the loan with that STEMI, you know what I'm saying? I had people who was making twice as much as they would make at work, sitting at home with the extra STEMI dollars. So
living.
That's a win in some people's mind. If you did the right thing with that bread, I mean, you could put it in the right direction to help change your future, man. So 2020, I mean, yes, it was tough, but if you were focused and determined to do and be great, you had plenty of opportunity.
And hopefully you learn something about yourself through the process. I think that's the one thing I think, you know, for us at least, we benefited through was just having enough time to be able to identify, you know, a couple of issues or problems, and having the right support circle and, you know, creative energy to, you know, do something healthy about it. But what you were saying about, like, you know, just making it through was a success. That's true. But a lot of people got upset. You know, I had posted something in the beginning, like if this quarantine is not increasing your drive, your hunger, your hustle, you're doing something wrong. And a lot of people took offense to that. You know, a lot of people, like, some people don't have time to, you know, be motivated and pursue. They're just trying to make it to the next day. They're trying to figure out how to eat. And all that is a given. My point in the comment that I had made was, in spite of the challenges that you're facing, there is somewhere in life where you can apply, you can use your circumstances you're in to better that aspect of your life. You know what I mean? There's somewhere you can use some of this downtime, which we know you have, because 2020 gave everybody a more equal playing field. You know, all of a sudden, I didn't want to hear no music about niggas popping bottles and driving Bentleys. Like, niggas just starving everywhere right now. You know what I mean? Like, not just in the hood, but I feel like certain things lost their value, certain monetary, certain like physical things lost their level of importance when you know so much of the world is struggling. Like, you may not be struggling, but I got a hard time, you know, dropping the top of my bins, you know, down a 60-mile square foot radius of people who are struggling. I just can't do it. You know, so I feel like a lot of people were given an equal playing field, and it allowed us to look at life, you know, from a more, in a way, like, even fair perspective. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was impacted. Everybody was hurt. Nobody could skip the reality of COVID. So it was really interesting just to watch, man. I never thought I'd live in a time like this. You know, you see it in the movies and shit, and then it hits you, and you got to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, and that's a good point, man. Nobody thought they would, right? And no, and that was another thing too. Like for me at work, it was like, you know, at the time I had about 70 something people, right, that I was responsible for, and it was just like, how do you direct them? You don't know, right? Like we're learning as we go, and I think that's what was happening. There was a lot of ad hoc, right? Nobody knew okay, this is the protocol for this when this happens. We never dealt with this, you know. But
Right.
I think now, like, shit, we are resilient people, right? We are some resilient people, man. So I think to dovetail off what you said, Prentice, if that hunger that is or isn't being derived while you sit at home, say it isn't. Now that well, I was gonna say now that the world is open back up, but it's actually closing back down again because the cases are rising. But when the world opens back up to quote unquote normal, that drive that you were lacking should now be present, right? And if it was festering, if the drive was festering while you were sitting, go put it in action, right? Because now you got the ability to move, right? You may have more resources now at your disposal. So I guess all I'm saying is, let's look at this 2020 and as something we can grow from, and how do we grow from it, right? Because it was something that we were forced into. Nobody knew how to do it. Nobody knew what to do, but now we do, right? To the best of our ability. We know how to move to the best of our ability. And what we did was create the blueprint for it, right? Like we all did. So if this ever happens again, we can revert back to this time and be like, okay, here's how I hunkered down, and here's what I needed to do. So, but yeah, man, for me, like just at a high level, most impactful was, or eye-opening negatively, was the George Floyd and the
I thought we was on the positive already. Just moving in that.
I'm summing up.
Oh, okay.
Because we did negative, now we're doing positive.
You're right. Plans fuck up.
Yeah.
Summing up.
What else in 2020, man? What else?
It ain't that negative stuff is out the window, man. I got to spend an abundance of time with my kids. Like parents, like a lot of people were complaining that, you know, they had to homeschool and it's like, yo, you don't like being around your kids. I get it's a lot of work, but these are your kids. Like you created these little nigglets, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how could you not? Like, I'm one who really enjoyed being around my kids, man. Like if I wasn't working, I'm like, yo, I'm coming to get the kids. I'm coming to get the kids. I'm coming to get the kids. Like they'd just be with me until I had to go back to work.
Yeah,
bro. This is the first day in 10 months that I have no parental responsibility. 10 months straight. You know what I mean? Like 10 months straight. And I was complaining. I was one of the ones complaining, like, yo, this last year, the 5th grade fucking math is about to have me, you know, kill a motherfucker, man. You know, but I look back on all that shit, man. You can't trade none of that time. None of them days.
None of it, bro.
You can't get none of it back, bro.
Yeah, man. And you know, people always talk about, you know, quality time over quantity time. But as your kids, and I have the oldest kid out of the 3 of us, and you're going to see as they get older, man, you don't know when that quality time is going to happen. Like, you just don't know. Like, their schedule, you're going to have to get on their calendars. Like, it's crazy. So if you can get an abundance of that time, then why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So it's like, if you can soak it up, then soak it up. Like that I agree, Chief. Like that for me and Prentice. My son was born in 2020.
So yeah, you dropped the album in 2020.
Yeah, man.
You
So
know what I mean? Well,
it was
dropped the album.
And it was for
it
me
was a feature.
Man, I was the artist. I created that album. But not for me, man. It was just like being able to work from home and having the flexibility. It was just like, holy shit. Like now, if I have another kid, like I won't know no other way. You know what I'm saying? Like I won't know no other way other than spending every day with him. You know, and that's the other thing too. It's going to be very interesting to see how these 2020 kids' social life is going to be, man. Because my son, for 4 months, nobody touched him but me and his mom, right?
We started the podcast at his crib. I had to wear the mask, go straight into the basement. You can't even see the baby. Like,
It was crazy.
Real.
So now, you know, my mom's one of his babysitters, and my mother-in-law is his other babysitter, and then my daughter helps out here and there. So anytime, like, if we're all in the same room, my man like, yo, fuck y'all got going on, man. Like, it's too much, man. He it's just like he's not used to all those people. He's not used to all them noises. Like, he'll be drinking his bottle, watching TV, and then somebody say something in the living room, and I swear to God, like, it looks like, well, what he does is he drops his bottle and looks like almost like, y'all motherfuckers don't see me over there watching TV. Like, I'm in the house making all this goddamn noise, man. Go home, man. Y'all don't even live here. Like that's how I feel he responds, because he's just not used to being around a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be just kind of interesting to track and to watch these kids and their social skills, and you know, going forward.
Yeah, we haven't. I had a little. I don't know if I sent you a picture, but I had a little, like a half a basketball court put in the backyard. So it was like the kids come over, y'all just go outside and play. Like, just go in the backyard. So they got to do that little bit of socializing with, you know what I mean?
Well, it's three of them, and you got, you know, they got a gang of cousins all around the same age, so it works out.
So that was pretty cool. But just, you know, having the opportunity to spend time with family and really, really dive into my kids was super, super dope.
Yo, this is kind of a sidebar, but one thing that I didn't do that I just realized right now, and I don't know why, so I'm not gonna have an answer, but this is the first year that I did not write my goals down for that year. Every year I write my goals out. This is the first. I was at your house
last year when we did it.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
This is the first time that I haven't done it, and I don't know why that is.
You still got time.
I got plenty of time, but it was just a thought, like, and I wonder if 2020, it's just been so much going on, if it's just like, let me just see how this shit goes before I start, you know, writing shit down. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So, but I don't know.
I think you gotta be that, man. Sometimes we gotta be, and I think especially if you had a successful 2020, you can kind of psych yourself into thinking that you gotta, for lack of better term, like dim your light a little bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it was so much darkness and so much chaos around you. I think it's important that if you had a successful 2020, that especially if you had a successful one, you ride that wave right now. You know what I mean? Like, if things have been going good, make that vision board, write down them goals. You know what I mean? Because life don't stop. The reality is we're just adjusting to a new way of life. Life is still going, very much so.
Yeah.
You know what another reality that just hit me? This is crazy, but like, what happens when you hit them? Right? Like I was listening to this podcast.
When you hit your goals?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna elaborate though. It was as a podcast, it's Crime Town, and it talked about the mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, I think his name is. Is the youngest mayor ever in Detroit history. He said something on that podcast. He said, the dog who chases the bus doesn't know what to do when he catches it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, the dog's intention is not really to catch the bus. It's just to chase it, because he doesn't know what to do once he catches it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking about that, man. I like where I am in my life right now is things I've been striving for years, right? Just in terms of like my career-wise. So now it's like,
what now?
Like, yeah.
What now?
And I think
show up. Well,
I think that's playing a part too.
For me, I think it's still more career goals, like show up and show out. Like, you
right.
replace somebody, like, you're now taking this office to the next level.
Right,
and then you see Bell came here and turned the game around. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, and this, in the nature of who we are as people, are going to constantly be competitive with ourselves. So it's always, you know what I mean? It's the level up is always going to be, it's just going to keep going. Like, we got to continue to level up. Whatever that looks like, whatever realm it may be, the level up will always, the need or urge to level up will always be present.
Yeah.
And then that leveling up, I think it looked different for a lot of people this year. I know it did for me. The goals, the things that happened in my life in 2020 versus the things I wanted to or thought were two different things. You know what I'm saying? Like the way the way they came, the way success manifested itself this year versus how I manifested it in my head was totally different. I did not imagine 2020 being the year of personal development as a man and father overall. I thought it was going to be on some artist shit. I thought it was going to be on some poetry, TV, movie type shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, and that low key still happened for you though.
So this is the thing. It totally happened, but it happened while my focus was elsewhere.
Right.
So it makes me think in 2021, like, okay, I went into 2020, that first quarter, I was booming. I had that second quarter ready, locked and running. That third quarter was going to be a wrap too. But COVID hit and switched everything. And then my success came in all these different ways I didn't plan for. So it makes me wonder, like back to Bell, you saying like you skipped the goal list for 2021. I'd write the goal list, but I'd be curious like to see what your goals are for 2021 if you looked at the goals you accomplished in 2020 and the circumstances. Like, do they change? You know what I mean?
So P, you looking at it like, damn, like I was popping in 2020 and it wasn't what I was focusing on. So if I'm focusing on being a better man and a better father and I'm still getting all this clout in the poetry game, imagine when I really lock in and dedicate my energy and time to this, you know what I mean, to the game.
Devil's advocate.
What it does.
Yeah, it's not, you know, honestly, for me, it's not even that. It's like, I'm enjoying this idea of pouring into myself and other things happening around me that benefit my life and other people so much that I feel like it's giving me an opportunity to learn how to lock in on myself. Now that I've had enough practice in 2020 on how to lock in the Prentice, I can add some different components. You know what I mean? I can go back to the creative artist space in a way that I wasn't able to before because I'm more secure in myself now. You know what I mean? Or I have a more idea of who I am now at this stage in my life. So it can rearrange how we choose to attack 2021.
What I'll say to that, Prentice, is just the devil's advocate thought is, what if you couldn't achieve all those pieces that you were trying to achieve without the component that you gained in 2020?
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Like what?
And I think a lot of people, that may be that aha, you know what I mean? Like, aha, I needed this in order to get closer to this.
Right.
You know, I think it's really perspective, bro. It's really perspective how we look at how this year treated us and what we take from it. It's really about perspective, man.
What's crazy is I typically write some short-term goals that I want to achieve. And these are like personal, just small goals, but it's like they're like confidence builders for me to know that I did, like, for example, like it was a while ago, it was to become a late night love DJ. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I remember that.
To become a professional bingo caller for my grandmoms, you know what I'm saying? Like, cats didn't know you need a license to call bingo, you know what I'm saying?
I was just about to say, what does that consist of?
You need a license to call bingos. Yeah. I got my bingo license, B. Yes.
That's crazy.
Word. Grandma loved bingo. I'm like, in order to participate, I'm not many people have their grandma still around. So, you know what I'm saying? This is our fun. I go to bingo and she loved when her grandson up there calling the numbers, you know what I'm saying? So that's cool.
That's
and it was like drive a Tonka truck, the big yellow truck we used to play when we was a kid. I wanted to drive one of those. But like those are just small goals, but it was like very attainable. But this confidence building, okay, I got those 3 done. What's next on the list? Just check off 3 more goals underneath all the bigger goals that we have, but just something to keep you going and keep you motivated. And that's something I encourage like all the people to do. Like 2021's here. If your big goals are too much, make little ones in between.
Can we add a couch to that short-term list, bro? This shit like quicksand. Like, I promise y'all, my ass is on the floor right now.
we were supposed to have a whole new setup this year, P. Like, we wanted to have a whole new layout and room, desk type shit, you know what I mean? But it didn't work out that way. So we're gonna get a whole Black Men Need Therapy staging type deal, you know what I mean? Soon come.
We're gonna speak it, man. It's gonna come, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure. Don't talk about my company. How you gonna talk about me like that in front of my people? B?
Yo, man.
While sitting on your shit, too.
While sitting on your shit,
talking to the
like, I'm telling y'all, man, like I'm below parallel. If you squat, I'm doing ass to grass squats right now.
That's funny as hell.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I think we have some other stuff, guys, but we're gonna save that for another episode. But
yeah, we I think just the reflection on 2020 is dope. I mean, we gotta sit back and go, it happened. We're still here. Let's keep pushing. So what advice or what direction or what points you want to give people for 2021?
Yeah.
How if we can offer something for 2021, what do we tell the people?
You want to make a final thought?
We can do that. Yeah. Final thoughts for 2021. Where do they go, P?
Don't fall into the trap of allowing everybody's experience of 2020 to define yours. Do not. I mean, it's just so much negativity out there, and I know not everybody had a positive experience, but we can't go into 2021 carrying this dark gray 2020 cloud. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always, each and every day, have an opportunity to define yourself regardless of what's going on in the world. So approach 2021 with the same vigor, or even more than you had for 2020. Just don't let the nature of life dictate how motivated you are with your goals. That's what I would say.
When I hear you say that, man, I think about, like you said, don't let somebody else's perspective dictate how you look at 2020 or how you will look at 2021. When you said that, I thought about that guy. I mean, you're trying to holler at a girl, and there's a guy say, "Man, you ain't gonna get her. She wouldn't even give me her number. How you gonna get her?" It's like, man, we ain't the same person, bro. We ain't the same person. And I think that's the same mindset, man. We ain't the same. Your experiences won't be mine, right? Like, don't and for those people, don't project, your negative experiences on someone else, right? Like figure out a way for you to get through yours, but don't make them somebody else's to make yourself feel better about you not getting through it. You know what I'm saying? Or you not hitting the goal that you wanted to achieve. But for my final thought, man, live in the present, right? Be where you stand, right? Just be present.
I'm at where I'm at, and I be where I be.
Yeah, just be present, because if nothing else, 2020 showed us, man, that nothing is promised. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next. So just be present, like, wherever you are, right? If you're with your kids, put the phone down, right? You at a game, like, be whatever it is. Just be present. That's my final thought for 2020.
On the converse of that, as much as part of being present is recognizing your friends' struggles, check on your strong friends, that type of stuff. Like, P, when you be like, whatever, I'm always like, "Yo, you good? You all right?" And you be like, "Yeah, I'm solid, man." Like, I'm always like, just those are like, it seems subtle, but they're like sincere check-ins, like, make sure that you're good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
We always have these conversations, and it's like, listen, I want to make sure that you're okay. And there's a lot of people who aren't as mentally tough as we are, who are really struggling and could use your support. And sometimes it's not even the conversation; it's the ear to listen, or it's the company, or whatever it is. I think in 2021, as much as you're focusing on yourself, make sure your people are good. That's for me. Like, I was having a conversation with my son today, and he was talking about how he wanted to cut some people off. I'm like, hey, do what you got to do. You don't have to tell them you're cutting them off. You don't have to publicize it. Just do what you do. And if you need to focus on you right now because you've been trying to put so much energy in everybody else, then that's what you got to do too. So
yeah,
it works both ways, man.
Well, those are our thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, for 2020. Do us all a favor. Hug a black man today.
Yeah, go ahead.
And tomorrow.
And I was waiting for somebody to do it so I can get to the FC. Put my shit up. Let out.
Do it.
Like, hey, you got to go with it, man. We got to get that synergy.
Speaking of synergy, I have been getting a lot of love in regards to our dynamic. People like the three of us on. I think we bounce back and forth well, and I think it's pretty dope. We will we'll come correct next episode with with a sincere topic, an outline, and really get it going. But we wanted to wrap up 2020 and introduce 2021 in our own way. And again, you're welcome to email us with questions, comments, complaints, or concerns, and we appreciate that. We receive it very, very well. We're not judgmental and pointing the finger. We listen to what you got to say, and we try to incorporate it into our conversation. So feel free to hit us up. All Black Men Need Therapy at all social media outlets, and allblackmenneedtherapy@gmail.com.
And let me just throw this in too. Real quick, man. We do want feedback. We want all opinions. We welcome it. But for the negativity, I just want to reiterate that we are doing this for ourselves. We are hoping that you guys being a part of our experience therapeutically helps you in a therapeutic way. But if you're sending any type of negativity, any type of stuff that isn't in line with our spirit, our energy, and what we're trying to do for Black men, we will not be engaging or giving responses. Just want to put that out there, all 2021.
Yeah, because we definitely went back and forth with each other about a few of the negative comments we've seen. And it's just like, do we really want to feed into that? Do we really want to go public with that? So
you know what? I don't mind the negative comments because that means you're listening. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna respond to you. You know what I'm saying? But hey, knock yourself out. Like if you
literally,
if that's your thing, if that's your form of therapy, we did our job, right? If listening to us and critiquing us and you sharing negative feedback is the way you feel better about yourself, I'm here for that too. You know?
Yeah,
cool.
I guess so.
We'll accept it. I'm equal opportunity. I'm equal opportunity. Like I said, you're not gonna get no response. But in that same vein, shout out to Bean Behavioral Therapy. Mary is an avid listener. She sent us this very long email with feedback.
You know what? I started to read that and I got a phone call and didn't Mary. I'm gonna read the email right now. So
I read the whole email but didn't respond. I wanted you to respond because I talk to Mary all the time. So thank you for the feedback, Mary, and thank you for listening. And
Prentice is gonna respond.
Yeah, Prentice.
I will.
Respond.
I will. I'll respond.
He said that like a kid who's being scorned by their mom. Like, if you don't take this garbage out for the next 2 weeks, you ain't going nowhere. I will. I promise I will.
Yeah. So shout out to the faithful followers and supporters, man. We really, really do appreciate you. We making some noise. We getting these emails now where the numbers are steadily going up and it's moving in a good direction. So we're gonna get Chris Rock on here to talk about therapy with us.
Yeah. So fun fact, man. 2020 we had 5,000 downloads of our podcast. So
yeah, so that's,
you know,
yeah.
So we moving in a good direction. P, take us out, cuz.
So, you know, I don't remember what the fuck I was saying, so I'm gonna let you do it because it was impromptu. You know what I'm saying? You go ahead. I'm gonna just say my do it. We're gonna run it back some other time. You don't when I do my original thing.
No doubt.
You know,
no doubt.
You go ahead and do your thing.
We appreciate y'all, man. Do us all a favor and hug a Black man today.
Hug a Black man today.
No, do it. you got mad at us.
You the one trying to tell him. You and tomorrow. We out, y'all.
Yeah, do that shit.